Hi everyone, I'm here to talk to you about epigraphs. I'm working on getting the homework posted for 9-5 and I went ahead and typed a definition of epigraph, which you could absolutely Google search yourself, but I defined it myself. I was talking to you about it when we looked at the assignment instructions for the memoir um, during class on the 29th. So what is an epigraph? You're probably wondering. It's usually a passage, doesn't have a specific definition for how long it needs to be. It can be as long as you need it to be. It's a passage that you find from another piece of work. I have in my definition typed on the screen. These are usually essays, chapters from books, stories, novels, nonfiction books, but it can come from songs, from the Bible. But as we read in our lives, we find passages that people have written and expressed really important ideas about human life. And we read these, and some of us copy them down, some of us don't, some of us mark passages in books. Some of us read books many times throughout our lives, so these passages come back to us at different moments in life, and we reflect on them again and again and again because these pieces mean a lot to us, whatever this text happens to be. But the point is you're identifying a passage. So really you're looking for a sentence, a couple of sentences, a few lines that you can quote. And I'm teaching you to use an epigraph so that you understand that quotations are not used, passages are not quoted, used in your work only in an academic context. They are sometimes used in a creative context. So I'm giving you some practice with that. What do they look like? I have some images. I just did a Google image search, and epigraphs are usually in a book on the opposite side of the title page. And you see this image up here. There, the title page is on the other side. Here's the epigraph from Isaiah, and then there's a table of contents. So this epigraph, it's known to readers, is meant to kind of provide a framework, a conceptual understanding for what will be at the heart of the piece of writing. So I'm asking you to find an epigraph for your memoir. And here's how you can find one. You can do something like think of a concept or a theme. I don't like that word, but if it helps you think of theme, you can think of a metaphor even that you think would apply to your memoir, but you're like thinking about your memoir and like, what are some important messages about my story? What are some of the important things I want my readers to understand about my story? Yes, I'm telling my story. I want people to know my story, but there's like a larger message to the story, right? So I'm thinking, since I'm writing the story about my son breaking into my house, that I'm just going to type quotes about theft. And my results, I don't want to use any of these silly memes. Like, that's just a waste of my time. I mean, you might find a good passage there, but I'm just going to ignore those. I like Goodreads. There's a lot of work done by people who do a lot of reading to use Goodreads to document passages. So this is a great resource for me. There's Brainy Quote. You're going to find a lot of like weird quote websites, and you're in an academic course and you're thinking, how is this lady letting us use Goodreads for our paper? But I'm asking you to use this as a means to finding an epigraph because it's faster than trying to read a bunch of books, right? So I'm going to go for the Goodreads because I know a lot of people mark passages that are important to them. And so look, I have all of these options, 225 theft quotes, and I'm going to read through them and see if any of them tie into my story. Once I find one that I like, I can copy and paste it in. I'm also going to need to remember, I'm not choosing this one just as an example. I can, highlight it, copy, paste it into my draft. And I also need to know who the writer is. And I need to remember that I was at the Goodreads website because I'm going to have a works cited page. So there's stuff here I'm going to read through and find a quote. I found one already. So I just want to show you what you're going to do once you find an epigraph that works. You'll remember that I said in class on the 29th that you don't have to have this epigraph for the 12th, the 12th, the September 12th draft that's due at the beginning of class. You can keep researching for a while. It might take you a while to find something that works. I found one that I thought can work. So you notice what I've done. This is my name. This is my draft title of my memoir. I'm working with a draft title because I don't know that I like this one. I'm playing with, the old fairy tale about the old mother in the shoe. So I'm just playing around with some ideas that I think could work. Not sure if it's going to. And then I pasted the epigraph into the top of my draft. And you notice, like on the Goodreads page, there were quotation marks, but I've deleted them out. And this passage is in italics. And I know it's kind of hard to see that it's in italics, but I selected and I hit the I button to italicize it. And when I type my story will not be in italics. But this is how you format an epigraph that's at the beginning of your essay or your book or whatever. And I'm just going to go back and show you the images of the epigraphs. You can see that they're in italics as well. Some of them aren't, but they're usually set off in front, on their own page, and many times are in italics. So I would like you to go ahead and use the italicized formatting there, because that's how you see it the most. So that is it. I mean, it's just really a matter of you finding a passage that you think can connect to your story. And I need you to know something. It's not good enough. Oh, I'm trying to get my document back up and it's not working. It's not good enough. That's not the thing you should be looking at. My recording screen is in the way. There we go. I've solved the problem. It's not good enough to just copy and paste an epigraph into the document and be like, did it, met the requirement, she should be happy. I won't. You need to make sure that it relates to your story. It can't be a random quote you just find. It can be an epigraph that you want there at the beginning because you think it has some like really nice wording. That's great. I love passages that have nice wording. The thing is, you're going to have to make your story and the epigraph work together. You're going to have to tie in the concepts into the story. So notice that I'm trying to work with this idea of special a little bit in a different context here because I'm talking about my family, but I'm trying to work with the epigraph in my story because the epigraph kind of drives the story. It helps the readers understand here's the starting point. This is not the writer. This is a passage that helps the writer to understand what they're trying to say about their story. And then it absolutely influences the way the story is told. So that's going to be your challenge, is finding a passage where that connection can be made for you. Okay? Great. If you have any questions about epigraphs, please email me and we can talk about them more via email, or we can set up a time in Zoom to chat. I'm happy to help you with selecting your epigraph and making it work with your story really well. Take care.